Okay, so indirect proportion. So this is while one thing goes up, the other thing goes down. So an example of this could be, it takes one person 10 hours to paint a fence. How long would it take 2 people, 3 people, maybe 4 or 5? So as you add more and more people, you would expect that it takes less and less time to paint the fence. Okay, makes a bit of sense. Hopefully it makes a bit of common sense. An example of a question could be, it takes 3 people 8 hours to build a shed. How long would it then take 2 people to build the shed? Okay, so there's 2 things that we need to think about while we're doing this. Is firstly, should it take more or less time? And how long would it take for one person? Okay, so let's look at an example of a question. So it takes 6 builders 42 hours to build a house. How long would it take 9 builders? Okay, so what we need to make sure is that it's going to take less time. Okay, because we're adding builders. So our answer has to be less than 42. If we've got an answer that's greater than 42, it means we've done something wrong because we're adding more builders. Okay. So the other bit of advice that I told you was that you should try and work out how long it would take for one builder. So if it takes 6 builders 42 hours to build a house, how long is it going to take one builder? Well, if we've got 6 builders all working at 42 hours, you're essentially going to work out how many hours of labour there is in total. Okay, so one builder is going to take 42 times 6 hours to do the whole thing himself. So 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 4 is 24 plus 1 is 25. Okay, so 200. So it's going to take one builder 252 hours. Okay, that's essentially how much labour there is to be done. But what I'm doing is I've got one builder, it takes 252 hours, but I've got 9 builders. So that 252 hours of work that needs done, just divide it by 9, and that's going to tell how many hours it's going to take. So 9 divided by 2 doesn't go. 9 and 25 goes twice, remainder 7. 9 and 72 goes 8 times. So it's going to take 9 builders 28 hours. Okay, and that makes sense because we started with 42 with 6 builders, so it should take less time. It's taken 28 hours. It adds up. It makes sense. So, hotels enough food to feed 30 guests for 12 days. How many days could they feed 24 guests for? What I'm going to do is I've got 30 guests and I've got 12 days. So I'm going to figure out how many days they could feed one guest for. Okay, so I'm going to do 12 times 3, then times it by 10. So 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 1 is 3. And then get times that by 10, so it's 360. Okay, so they could feed one guest for 360 days with the amount of food that they have. Okay, but we've got 24 guests. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take 360 and I'm going to divide it by 24. And that's going to tell me how many days I can feed my 24 guests for. So 360 divided by 24 is 15. So that means that I can feed 24 guests for 15 days. And again, if you look at the question, I had 30 guests, I could feed them for 12 days. So if I have less guests, you would think you could feed them for more. And that makes sense because I got 15 days as my answer.